welcome back to the Intentional Youth Ministry channel. Today I want to talk to you guys a little bit about creating layers. That's right, creating layers. I think oftentimes when it comes to our student ministries, we're a little bit one-dimensional in our approach. We do a service, and maybe we do a service really well, but our hope is that one service, we're kind of throwing all of our eggs into one basket, right? We hope that service is really reaching students, and that's really kind of all that we focus on. I want to tell you, there's this idea of creating layers. What it kind of really boils down to is this, is it's really a way of us being intentional about creating different engagement points for students to connect in. And so I think it's important that we think about, do we have opportunities for the unchurched to engage in what we're doing? Maybe those look like fun, relational events that you're doing. Maybe you've geared your youth service to be a very attractional, outreachy driven kind of a vibe, and that's great. But what about your students who are growing? They're needing more than just a service. They're needing to start the discipleship process. And are there steps or things in place for them to grow in their walk with God? What about for your students who are more mature, right? Who are pursuing God, have a relationship with Him, but there's like leadership potential in them. Are you creating opportunities for them to engage? And so I want to kind of unpackage this just for a few minutes with you guys. This idea about creating layers in your student ministry. I remember the first few years in, I got to a point where I know a few people on the outside had said, man, what you guys are doing just seems really complex. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because we had a lot going on. And so it is reality. We did have a lot going on, but we would have things, for example, I'll give you some examples of those. We would do some things where we had these Friday night events once a month. It was totally a fun, big, hype type of an event. The goal of that was purely outreach. We would communicate to our students, hey, this is the night. Invite your friends, even if they don't come to church, they don't go to church anywhere, invite them to this night. It's going to be fun. It's going to be awesome. They're going to have a great time. And the goal of that night was to be a place where they could bring their unchurched, lost friends, and they were going to have fun and connect. We would invite them to come and check out one of our youth services. But it was an awesome and fun experience. And so it was an incredible night that we would do to reach the unchurched. But then we'd have other things. We had events that we would do that were geared towards more of reaching that same kind of group of people, or more of the students who were new to church, if you will. So we would do these big, music festivals at the local theme parks, or we did a ski trip for a few years, trips to theme parks, all that kind of stuff that was all centered around more of the fun and the relational aspects. Goal of that, again, being predominantly to reach the unchurched, or to really try to engage some of the students in our church who had started to come, but really were just attending. Their families weren't really engaged in church. And some of them, where they were checking out church, checking out God. So we would create layers and engagement points for them. But then we would have other stuff that was more discipleship focused for the kids who were coming on a Sunday morning or a Wednesday night. What could we do to help them grow in their walk with God? And so we would create next steps, really like a discipleship track and programming for that. We would do these overnight events where we really dug in, we'd cap it at a small group of kids, and we'd really dig into like the basics, salvation and water baptism, and how do you pray, and how do you read your Bible, and how do you worship, and how do you share your faith, all those kinds of things. We would have different steps in that. We'd have a retreat where we would take students away for like a 3-day retreat, and like many of you probably do a traditional kind of retreat. We used to do a big summer camp where we would take them away for a week, and it was kind of a hybrid of like the fun, but also the spiritual emphasis in relationships. We offered small groups, various small groups throughout the week to engage students in relationship. You get where I'm going. I won't tell you everything that we did and that we had implemented, but the goal was we understood that if all we do is just a service, if all we do is just groups, well, we're going to engage a certain group of people, a certain group of students, but we're going to have a bunch of students that we're not reaching. And here's what's really cool. I can tell you this from experience. The kids who would show up and go with us on the ski trips are not the same kids who are going with us on missions trips or going on our growth track and discipleship track stuff. The students who would engage in missions and in the growth track stuff often were not the kids who were going with us to the theme park fun outing things. So what we realized was by creating all of these different layers in our ministry, we actually were creating engagement points to reach students regardless of where they were at in their walk with God. Now, I know some of you hear that and you go, oh my goodness, like, the thought of even doing multiple things like that scares me, because maybe you're the only person at your church. Maybe you're not even a paid staff. Maybe you're a volunteer. You do have to find the balance. I think a lot of that can be helped by empowering and raising up leaders around you. I will digress for now because we are going to talk about that some here on this channel for sure. Empowerment and empowering leaders and what that looks like. But I just want to encourage you with this idea. Create layers. Don't be one-dimensional in your approach. You have to create layers in your ministry to reach kids and reach students from all demographics, all backgrounds, those who are churched and unchurched. If you're like me, I have a heart to reach all young people, not just one little niche of young people. So I just want to encourage you guys with that. Hope you have a great day, and we'll see you next time.